Good afternoon, everybody. I am Dr. Kother, and I am a special educational specialist and a child psychologist. Now, today I am going to talk about making sure that your child is getting enough sleep at night. If you have a child with special needs, you may be one of those parents that probably get a note, a text message, an email reminding you to make sure that your child is getting enough sleep. The school knows that students need to be well rested and alert in order for them to do their everyday activities and their therapies that come along with being in a special education program. Parents today actually have a huge challenge in front of them. This challenge is electronics. The children are having electronic overload, basically. We have the tablets, we have the iPads, we have the computers, we have televisions, and the parents are facing a challenge on how to remove these electronic devices and get their children to go to bed. We need to realize that school is hard work for your child every year. For students in special education programs, most of the schoolwork is very challenging for these children, and the therapies can be actually exhausting. So we need to make sure that the child and children are getting enough sleep to be able to participate in these programs properly. Now, getting children to sleep is one of the greatest challenges of parenting these days. Either you have the child who hasn't slept enough, or you have the child who refuses to sleep, or you have the child that won't sleep enough, and they will show off their sleep deficit in overactivity. Now, you would think these kids would be so exhausted that they would just drop where they stand. Nope. They will jump, they will dance, they will run, they will scream. Now, this is hard enough for you as a parent to handle within your home. But in a classroom where certain rules need to be followed, a certain degree of decorum is required, it can be a disaster. Now, you think a teacher, she won't have one kid like that. She will have 2, 3, 4 kids like this. So this is stressful on the teacher, and it's going to in turn be stressful on you when the teacher calls and complains about your child. Now, enforcing bedtime is very necessary, but it isn't easy. And I know from experience it's not easy. I have 4 children, but we had rules into effect that the children had to be in bed at this time. You can't make the child sleep, but you certainly can put him to bed. Okay, now developing a bedtime routine in a calming manner, 1 to 2 hours before bed without electronics. This is something that I will stress over and over and over again, without electronics. Okay, before bedtime, this will be a very good place for you to begin. How much sleep is enough? That will vary from child to child, but most experts agree that it should be 10 to 12 hours for school-age children, young children, elementary school children, and 9 to 12 hours for teenagers. Now, how are you going to find out what time best suits your child? So we are going to do this by discovering how many hours they sleep and have a great morning. So, for example, you put your child to bed at 10 o'clock at night. All right, the next morning that child wakes up grumpy and in a bad mood, so you know that is not a good time for your child to sleep. So the next night you're going to try 9 o'clock or 9:30. The next morning the child wakes up in a bad mood, you know that time is not appropriate either. So maybe the next time you're going to say, okay, I'm going to try at 8 o'clock. And at 8 o'clock the next morning, the child wakes up and he's in a great mood and he's happy and everything. So you know that time is the time that the child needs to go to bed. You're going to be surprised on how early in the evening your child probably needs to go to bed. Now, if you have a lot of activities going on in the afternoon and evening, say for example, you have aftercare programs or after school programs, homework, sports, lessons, therapy, TV, late dinners, late bedtime, you are going to really have to seriously reevaluate and restructure to get sleep in for your child. Sleep is the base on the pyramid of your child's life. And if it's full of holes, the whole structure is going to be shaky and it may crumble one day with a humongous meltdown. You need to make sure that your child is getting the appropriate sleep. Plan your afternoons and your evening according to the time that you need your child to go to sleep. Now, when you're thinking at things and activities to consider to make sure that your child is getting enough sleep, you need to also consider the amount of your sleep you are getting. It is known, it is well known that parents of children with disabilities or different needs do not get enough sleep. But you need to think about yourself too and your child to make sure that both of you are getting enough sleep. Just as lack of sleep will cause your child to be hyper and hard to handle, it will make you impatient, grouchy, and inflexible. So, sufficient sleep is important to the both of you. Sufficient sleep will pay off in the long run, making you less stressful and your child also less stressful. Now, 4 reasons to make a sleep program. The first one, adequate sleep will pay off for your child at home and at school. You will have a happier child. The child will participate and cooperate a lot better at school, which in turn will make for happier therapists and happier teachers. And at home, he will, have good days and he won't be hard to handle. The second one, it's a good excuse for cutting down activities you know are out of control. When you have activities that are not serving you, are not serving your child, cut them out. There's no reason to have them. Okay, bedtime routines can create some great bonding time for your child. Yes, if you create a routine of the child going and taking a warm bath, maybe you can put some lavender essential oils in there. Lavender has a calming effect. And then after he comes from the bath, you put his pajamas on, you get him in the bed, you tuck him in, and you read bedtime stories. Bedtime stories are known to also relax the child and help them to sleep. Okay, earlier bedtimes give you much needed child-free downtime. You as a parent, you need time for yourself. You need time to rest and relax. So once you put your child to bed at 8 o'clock, maybe you'll have 2 hours just to chill out and to relax. Maybe watch TV with your spouse or read a book. something that you enjoy that can give you some relaxation. Now, 3 excuses not to do a bedtime routine. My child refuses to go to bed. In this case, we need to discuss who is the parent and who is the child. You can't force your child to sleep, but you can definitely make him go to bed. He can sit in the bed, and if he comes out, you put him back in until he understands at this time I have to go to bed. All right? You don't give any leadway in this. There is a time for bed. If he doesn't sleep, that's one thing. You can't force him to sleep. But for him to be physically in the bed, he should be physically in the bed, at the time that you determine is the best time for him to be in the bed. Now, my child stays late, up late with hours of homework. Now, in this case, if you have a child that has some kind of learning challenge or disability, you should have accommodations in effect. If you don't have these accommodations, go and get them. Homework is important, but it shouldn't be keeping your child up late at night. Your child should have no more than 1 hour homework. If there is a task and it takes your child 1 hour to do it, and it takes other kids 10 minutes to do the same task, that means your child needs an accommodation, and he should have one. So make sure that your child has the right accommodation into effect about homework. Now, you can also talk to the teacher about cutting down the homework or allowing some of it to be done on the weekends. But again, if your child is one of those kids that it takes them an hour to do a 10-minute task, then you have to make sure that your child has the accommodation in effect. Okay, there is nothing we can cut from our schedule. You need to reevaluate your schedule then, because there should be something you can cut out. You can start small, find 15 minutes or 30 minutes that you can cut out, and then go from there. But your schedule needs to be reevaluated. Okay, this is my opinions and on how to get your child to sleep at night. And I hope you all have a great day.